take it away.
All right, welcome in everybody. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I'm super excited to show off this run. Let's go ahead and get started. Just to introduce myself, my name is Clouded. Of course, I'm a runner of this game, and I also have Mr. Moist Blub on remote couch with me today. So thank you so much for joining. If you want to just quickly introduce yourself, Moist. Hey, Moist, you there? If you'd like to introduce yourself real quick before we get started, just so we can make sure we can hear your lovely voice.
Can you? Hello.
Hello, Moist, you there? Can you hear us?
While we're working on getting Moist Blood into the scene here, I do want to remind everyone that we do have a glitch exhibition incentive for this, Clouded. We are at 157 out of 400, and I guess without spilling the beans too much, what are some of the things that you're super excited about being able to showcase with this glitch exhibition when we meet that incentive?
So something really neat about Tears of the Kingdom is if you're familiar with Breath of the Wild, the prequel, very, very few of those glitches from that game, of which there are many, have carried over into the sequel. And a lot of them have to do revolving around Link's new abilities. We have Ascend, Ultra Hand, Auto Build, Recall, and Fuse. And so we've got a lot of cool things to show off. Basically, every single ability has its own glitch that we can take advantage of to basically do anything we want. It's like creative mode in the game. We can clip through walls. We can get infinite damage stack. A lot of interesting things. The any percent run is, of course, very short, and we want to make it as quick as possible to get to the end of the game. So there's a lot of those abilities, including auto build and other things that you might not get to see in the any percent run, which is why I think a glitch exhibition would be a really great incentive for this run. So hopefully, if we can meet that donation for such a great cause that we're here to support today, then I would love to show off those glitches for those of you that haven't seen the power of the incredible glitches in Tears of the Kingdom.
You heard that, chat. We want to see more marathon here, and all of those glitches sound really, really awesome. Indeed, we are raising money for a wonderful, wonderful cause. Midwest Speedfest all weekend long is supporting P Fund Foundation's Transcend
Hello.
campaign.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Hey, Moise, can you hear us? We ready to get started?
Yes.
All right.
Ooh. Well,
Sounds
welcome
good.
in.
All right. So timing. We'll start a new game here, and we'll go in 3, 2, 1, and go. All right, let's get this started. Right off the bat here, I think the first thing we need to discuss is the version we're playing on. We're on version 1.0.0, which is the original launch date release patch of the game. And we play on version 1.0 for a number of reasons. The biggest one being the glitches that we just discussed about. There are many glitches exclusive to version 1.0 that completely break the game wide open. And we're actually going to be seeing one of those right here as we load into the game. We're going to be in the prologue section on a nice little date with Zelda underneath Hyrule Castle. But we are immediately going to piece out of that date and perform a glitch called a climb jump clip to see if we can get out of bounds here. If you want to explain how that works.
Yeah, so we are playing on version 1.0. It's the very first version of Tears of the Kingdom. It actually dinged. Get this one clip is only 1.0 exclusive. It's quite precise.
So we're going to try to line up on a texture on the wall here, see if we can... There we go, third tries the charm, and we are now out of bounds, ready to escape the prologue here. Oh, we hit the cutscene trigger. We're going to be performing or attempting to perform some very precise kind of parkour movements to skip the many, many cutscene triggers here where Zelda wants to stop and talk to us about all the different Zonai artifacts and everything that's going on at the beginning of the game. As speedrunners, we are not the biggest fans of cutscenes. So we can actually retry this clip here, see if we can skip those cutscenes again. Although this time, since we already cleared that first trigger, we won't have to deal with it. All right, let's give this one a retry.
Doing this
There we go.
clip 1 minute than just running through normally.
All right.
And this is
There we go. That was definitely the hardest part right there. So glad we're able to get through that one unscathed. We're gonna be climbing down the wall here. By the way, if you're on a real date, I don't recommend doing this. It might not work out in your favor. But like Moy said, doing this intro clip here saves a full minute over just running through it normally. So definitely a huge time save, again, exclusive to the version that we're playing on. And now we're going to be performing a chain of backwards jump slashes to kind of float through the air all the way to the very end cutscene trigger. There we go, got it. That one feels really good to hit. Voiding out there would send us all the way back to the beginning. So now we are going to be treated to a 3.5 minute long unskippable cutscene. So I hope you guys brought your popcorn. We're going to enjoy this nice sequence of Link and Zelda continuing their date underneath Hyrule Castle. And if we have any more donations, now would be a great time to read those out.
Great. Thank you so much, Clouded. Well, I was mentioning earlier that these donations are going towards the Transcend campaign by P-Fund Foundation. We're raising they are raising funds for distribution to partners across the upper Midwest, doing on-the-ground work to protect and assist trans, non-binary, and gender-expansive youth and adults. Examples of how these funds will be used includes supporting transportation costs for queer youth and adults from North Dakota, South Dakota, and Iowa to receive necessary and life-saving health care out of state, and sponsoring queer gatherings across the upper Midwest. Over a dozen LGBTQ plus people in South Dakota, Iowa, and North Dakota told P-Fund that the first time they felt support as a queer person in the upper Midwest was at a queer gathering. Gender-expansive people in these states need community, and P-Fund wants to ensure that groups have access to financial resources to continue planning important queer gatherings.
Thanks so much. Yeah, what a great cause that we're out here to support. So thank you to everybody who's donated so far. And I guess now would be a good time for us to, while we got a little bit of downtime here watching the movie, that we can kind of go over the outline of the run, what you guys can expect to see. So if you're familiar with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, the Switch 3D Zeldas, they have a very similar layout in terms of how the game wants you to progress. So we start out on basically a boxed-in tutorial area. Breath of the Wild, we have the Great Plateau. Tears of the Kingdom, we have the Great Sky Island. And these are basically just little sandbox areas for you to explore, get used to the game mechanics, Link's new abilities that you've been gifted with. And as soon as you complete those sections, you are free to do whatever you want, including heading straight to the final boss, as Breath of the Wild speedrun does, and Tears of the Kingdom is no different. We're going to be basically trying to rush our way through the tutorial section of the game as fast as possible before heading straight to the final gauntlet with as much or as little as we can carry. So, and we've got a lot of cool glitches to help us out on our quest to accomplish that. So I hope you guys enjoy the run. Oh, and to go back to talk about version 1.0, like we were mentioning earlier, it's such a quirky version because it's the very first patch the game released on. They actually released patch 1.1 the same day that fixed a lot of the issues that the game has, but there's just these random little quirks like ladder climbing is slower, certain enemies move faster in version 1.0. There's just a lot of very interesting, neat little quirks that we'll get to see and take advantage of to get through our speedrun as quickly as possible. And going a little bit more into versions, there's actually been quite a few updates to the game. If anybody's had played the game casually, you might have seen quite a few updates in the first few months after release. So now we have a total of 5 or 6 different versions of the game, and each of them has their own unique speedrun route with different tricks, different glitches. And it's been very neat to see the community come together to figure out a new route every time these patches come out, and to see these runners kind of innovate and adapt to basically whatever patches Nintendo throws at us. But then 1.0 here, as we mentioned, is the fastest version for any percent, so that is what we'll be playing on. Another interesting quirk about version 1.0 is the load times. A lot of the loads can be very volatile or kind of seemingly random in terms of how long of a load you get. So we do have a couple strats that we can use to mitigate these load times or try to get a fastest possible load, and we'll see some of those come into play in just a little bit here. So now, as we mentioned, we will be waking up on the Great Sky Island here, gaining control of Link. and getting our first key item pickup here, which is the Decayed Master Sword. And we're not going to be using this very long, just for the couple opening sequence here that we're going to be sticking it in our back pocket for the rest of the run, as we will gain access to better weapons and tools for us to get off Great Sky Island. And I guess now would be a great time to mention that after your reward for getting through that 3.5-minute long unskippable cutscene is yet another one of the toughest tricks in the game coming right up here, which is what we call cog skip. Moise, if you wouldn't mind trying to explain to us what cog skip is and what we use it for.
Here, we can do kind of a sledge up top. We did it. Just the right amount of momentum to get up there. And we'll be accessing part of the game that we're not supposed to.
All right, getting a little bit difficult.
This is a very precise trick.
Yeah. There we go.
Nice.
6 tries the charm. So now we're up here. And even hitting it 6 try like that in a run, you're still saving time over the alternative, which would be watching an unskippable 45-second cutscene, running through the tunnel, swimming through the tunnel, diving through the tunnel. Instead, we get to just come quickly outside here. And actually, if you look to our right, we're going to be passing one of these shrines. We cannot activate it yet. However, we will be back here later.
Not only are we here early, that is very beneficial phone device. And this will allow us to like maneuver over this Great Sky Island.
So I'm not sure if you guys can hear Moise quite well there, but we're going to be grabbing the Zonai device, the wings, which are very powerful, both in casual play and in the speedrun. And we are immediately going to perform a glitch to duplicate these Zonai wings by pulling them out and pressing B to cancel the menu and Y to sort on the at the same time. We suddenly went from 3 wings to 22, and we're going to be using these to last us the entire rest of the run. So now we'll be diving into the unskippable intro title card cutscene here. So if we've got anything else from the host, now would be a great time.
Sounds great. While I go ahead and get that refreshed, I want to remind everyone that we do have that glitch exhibition that we were talking about just before the run began. So please, everyone, remember to type in !donate in chat or visit donate.mwsf.gg. We are on the final day of our time here at VGMCon. We're super thankful to be here, and it is the final hours. Not too much marathon to go, so please get those donations in. We have a $5,000 goal, and we're already at $4,345. Thanks so much to viewers like you inside the audience raising money for the P-Fund Foundation. Thank you so much, and let's keep it going.
Thanks so much, JD. Appreciate it. And I appreciate everybody who's come out to support the run, both monetarily or just to come and watch on Twitch or wherever. We definitely appreciate everybody tuning in. So now our next goal here is we're going to be heading to grab the Purapad. And you might notice I'm doing this kind of funny running motion, pulling out the sword and doing a little crouch hop here. This is what we call crouch throw sprinting. If you're familiar with whistle sprinting from Breath of the Wild, it's a similar technique that allows us to conserve stamina and recharge faster, and we'll be seeing this a lot throughout the first probably 25-30% of the run here, after which we will be doing barely any more running, as you'll see shortly. So yeah, that's just a nice little thing that we have. Whistle sprinting was, of course, patched out. I know when I fired up the game for the first time on launch day, that's one of the first things I tested to see if whistle sprinting still worked, and sadly it did not, but we do have crouch throw sprinting, which is, you know, it kind of feels a little bit like we have whistle sprinting at home, but it's not so bad. So we'll be grabbing the Purapad here. This is going to allow us to access the map, which will let us unlock fast travel later. Which, as we mentioned, that shrine that we passed by earlier, we're going to need a quick way to get up there, and the quickest way is going to be through fast travel. So currently, we do want to grab this key item pickup as well. And now the construct is going to direct us to head to the Temple of Time. Once we open the door there, we'll have access to each of the 3 first shrines on the island. And actually, from here on out, we're going to be playing a little game of The Floor is Lava, which I'll explain in just a sec. First, going to make a quick safety save. Oh, it gave me the autosave. Nice. So we're going to perform a backflip to dive and jump slash onto the wing here. A little trick move right there. And the reason we want to play the floor as lava and try to stay on these wings, because if we are standing on a wing or any sort of zoning device, it will prevent the game from updating Link's respawn coordinates, meaning that after we touch the door and go through that cutscene, we'll be able to jump off the edge and yeet ourselves into the void. And instead of respawning right in front of the door, we'll be all the way back up by the per pad where we just were, which will allow us faster move into the first shrine. But first, we're going to need to perform a little bit of highway robbery on this poor construct here. Thank you for your sacrifice. We're going to grab this wooden shield and bronze sword. Perfect. And then we're going to be making a... Just let him move his corpse out of the way there for us to try to not block my wing pole. We're going to be creating a... That's a little bit far. Creating a bridge of wings here to try to get to the door without touching the ground. All right, that looks good. And if we did everything correctly, after this cutscene, we should be standing on the wing. Let's pray here, fingers crossed. All right, perfect. There we go. So now all we have to do is just master this text real quick and jump off the edge. All right, so we'll find out in about 5 seconds or so if we did everything right, and we'll be making it back up top. Got it. There we go. Perfect. That's a pretty tough trick, actually. A lot of runs die there, so I'm pretty happy to hit that one first try. So now we're going to be performing another wing pull here to head over to Bottomless Cave. As you can see, there's the first shrine we'll be heading towards, which is Ascend at the top of the mountain. There's a few reasons why we go to Ascend first. Moist, if you want to touch on some of those, why we choose Ascend as the first shrine.
So we go to Ascend first because it's the highest shrine on the Great Sky Island, and just to access the other shrines easier because going from high to low is much easier in this game. On the way, we also get to get bombs, which is different in this game.
I think Moist was cutting out a little bit there, but if you didn't hear him, he was probably saying something similar to the effect of, if you've seen any sort of Zelda speedrun at all, you might be aware that bombs are one of the most useful and broken items, both in casual play and in speedrun. And Tears of the Kingdom is no exception. We're going to be using these bombs to pull off a number of super cool tricks later on in the run. And this bottomless cave here is actually the only place on Great Sky Island where we have access to these bomb flowers. So that's another huge part of the reason why we come here first. And we'll just be performing some pretty tight route climbing here, careful stamina management to tank the cold damage and get to our first shrine without dying. And it looks like we'll be just barely making it with 1 heart left, which is perfect. Now would also be a great time if we have anything else from the host.
Thank you so much, Clouded. I want to remind everyone that it takes a village in order to be able to put on an event like this. So Midwest Speedfest would like to send a special thanks to LPAV for providing PVMs, projectors, cameras for all of our marathons since 2017. LPAV has been Minnesota's trusted video and audio vendor since 2003. Having worked with companies such as Mountain Dew and Microsoft, you can trust LPAV will do it right the first time. Support them by checking out their eBay store, which you can find in our Twitch bio, or by typing !LPAV in chat.
Thanks so much. All right, so as we load into the Ascend Shrine here, we'll be getting our first ability. Ascend itself is not going to be very useful for us in this speedrun, as you see. Hopefully, we won't be needing it, unless for backup purposes, after we leave the shrine. And that is due to a huge game-breaking glitch that we are about to set up and perform, known as Arrow Smuggle. If Moist is still connected, maybe if he would want to explain for us a little bit what Arrow Smuggle is and how it works.
I'm not sure why it's cutting me out, but so Arrow Smuggle this game.
Comedic timing.
Hello.
I think we can hear you, maybe.
Okay. Is our basically the boat is desynced from where Link holds it, so this just allows us to jump slash cancel the animation of his jump slash, and we can chain this.
I think we missed it there. Try that again. He's throwing rocks at me. There we go. Got it. Basically, the explanation is do a lot of funny menuing and we can fly through the air. I think that'll... we'll go ahead and try that one again. Why not? Uh-oh. Okay, barely was able to save it. All right, that is, I didn't want to say anything quite yet, but that is actually probably the toughest flight section of the whole run right there. So I don't feel super bad messing up on that one, but we can just go ahead and use Ascend here as a backup. But as you see, the boat is what we call in a drop smuggle state at Link's feet. And once we go through a loading zone at the end of the shrine here, it will become semi-permanent. So we'll have this arrow smuggle state, like Moist was explaining, where the boat is distinct from Link's model, which will allow us to basically fly through the air infinitely. And we can use momentum to carry ourselves into flight, which will basically allow us to fly across the map at great speeds. And Arrow Smuggle is going to be our primary method of movement for the rest of the run. I mentioned earlier, we won't be doing very much more running, and that is because now we have the power of flight. And this semi-permanent state will last unless we reload a save or we die. So we'll try to avoid doing those two things. But even if we do, we'll be able to set it up again very quickly. And this is actually somewhat of a new change to the route. Arrow Smuggle has been around for a long time, but the setup we have known as Quick Drop Smuggle, which you just saw me perform here in the Ascend Shrine, is pretty new to the route from just about a month ago or so. I believe this is the first time we're actually showcasing this route change at a live event, which is pretty cool. Earlier, we were setting it up inside the Fuse Shrine, which is where we'll be heading next as our second shrine. But having Arrow Smuggle here instead allows us to fly straight to Fuse instead of taking a wing, which will be a little bit faster. So we'll be able to save a nice chunk of time here from this new route. Boys, if you're still there, maybe if you want to explain the battery throw for us, the next trick that we're going to be performing right here.
Yeah, so we want to get the battery directly to Fuse, and we can chuck this at a precise location that triggers the battery cutscene. And this is known as the battery trick shot.
Oh. Let's see. Okay, I have a backup here. So instead of reloading a save, which I just mentioned we don't want to do, we'll take some damage here and void out to get back up top there. And then we'll try to be quick so we don't die of cold damage. And we'll try for that throw again. I'm supposed to be doing a shield jump off the edge there, but I must have not released ZL too early, so we just got to dive. Don't think that was quite it, but we'll see. Yeah, we missed it, which is probably okay. I just want to get out of here as quick as possible so we don't die from the cold damage.
And yeah,
it's going to be close. Bit of a nail biter here, actually. Okay, I think we're good. I think we can survive the fall here. But yeah, now you'll see we'll be chaining these bow pulls and jump slashes together to propel our momentum here. The angle actually looks pretty decent. I didn't get quite as much momentum as I was hoping for here, so the flight is a bit slow, but we should be on track here to make it diffuse. Check my elevation. And you'll notice we're turning around backwards here. That's because I don't know why so many video games have this logic that if you're moving backwards, you go faster than when you're moving forwards. Like the backwards long jumps from Super Mario 64, the slides in some of the N64 Zeldas. I don't know why that happens, but there we go. Woo, bit of a nail biter, but we were able to make it all the way to Fuse. But yeah, if you're facing at an angle greater from 90 degrees away from where Link is facing, then you'll be able to get that peak momentum you want here. And now we'll be entering the Fuse Shrine. And going back to talking about some of the new abilities that we have in this game, Fuse is definitely the MVP of this run. It allows us to do a lot of cool things, including these bomb jumps that we're about to show off here. One of the main reasons why we grabbed bombs. This is really where it's going to come into play inside at the Fuse Shrine here. We'll get to do another little trick shot. We'll get to fly up into the air and skip a cutscene as well, which is always nice. A game like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which has a lot of cutscenes, we'll take any sort of cutscene skip that we can get. So Aurora is going to give us the ability here, and we'll go ahead and show off the power of Fuse. And I'm actually going to grab this Claymore as a backup because we need a weapon to make Arrow Smuggle Flight work. So if I end up breaking my sword for whatever reason, we've got that Claymore as a backup. So then we'll perform a bomb jump up here, grab these arrows, and see if we can hit this sniper shot. Nice. Let the chest do the work for you. Coming right to you. Grab this small key.
Of a quicker set, we fly directly to Fuse.
So we're going to go ahead and just duplicate a bit of bombs there, a couple extras back up. We're going to drain arrows here because Arrow Smuggle Flight only works if you're out of arrows or out of stamina. And we want to have both. Okay, this is kind of in my way. Please go over there. And now we're going to be attempting to perform the construct cutscene skip here. So we're going to do a double bomb jump. Perfect. And try to hover right along the ceiling here. The box for the cutscene trigger is pretty high up, so we got to stay right on the ceiling to try to avoid it. Not sure if that worked. Okay, perfect. We got it. That saves about 10, 12 seconds or so. But more important than the time save, it just looks super cool and feels good to hit in a run. So glad we were able to get that one. And that is the second shrine. And just like that, we are halfway done with Great Sky Island. And coming up here. So since I missed the battery throw, the reason we do that, I don't think we could hear Moist quite well when he was explaining it, but it allows, if you don't get the battery before you complete your second shrine, it forces you into this long cutscene where the construct slowly walks up to you, slowly gives you the battery, slowly explains everything you need to know. The other ones, they're not as yappy for some reason, so we're going to have to sit through this cutscene a little. It saves about 20 seconds to do that battery throw that we were attempting earlier. Also, it does kind of mess up with my lineup for the next Arrow Flight segment here, so we'll have to kind of do a little bit of on-the-fly rerouting and see if we can make it work still. The energy cell, we actually don't use it at all in the speedrun. We just try to grab it because it's basically a forced key item, and we want to get it with a short cutscene instead of a long one, which we are unfortunately able to hit, but no big deal. So I'll try to line up here. And this is going to be a pretty normalized setup here because the flight is pretty precise. And I'll just try to stay focused here while I figure this out. Angle looks good. Height looks good. All right, there we go, right to the shrine. Sand to sand, no ground touch in between. The reason that flight is so tough is because we have these huge lag spikes as we're going over. And when you're doing the inputs so fast between ZR and Y, it can cause you to drop an input, which will instantly kill your flight, either voiding you out and sending you all the way back, or just landing on the ground and forcing you to kind of run all the way to the shrine. But that one feels really good to hit first try, so I'm glad we really get that one. Now that we're here inside the Ultra Hand Shrine, Ultra Hand is another ability similar to Ascend that hopefully we won't be needing to see very much of it. Because now that we have Arrow Flight, we're going to be doing the same exact thing and just flying directly to the end of the shrine without having to complete any of these cool, although slow, puzzles that Nintendo has put in our way. So we'll be grabbing this ability here and then trying to perform a precise launch that we call a ledge bomb, which as it sounds is basically just doing a bomb jump off a ledge, which gives you a great angle with a lot of horizontal momentum. And conveniently, oh, wrong one. Conveniently, there is this nice slab right here that is angled exactly where we want to go. So we'll line up here. This looks fine. There we go. Not quite the optimal launch, but this will do for sure. And there we go. Another interesting ability that Arrow Smuggle grants us is the ability to cancel fall damage. So you saw earlier in the flight from Ascend to Fuse, we were on such a higher elevation that we definitely would have died if we had tried to just jump down normally. But you can pull out the bow and do a jump slash, and then if you dive in a very precise, tight window, then you're able to cancel all fall damage. And then we just performed it there inside of Ultra Hand as well. So not only is that useful as a backup in case we fail something, but just even in the course of the run, we do have some required fall damage cancels. So now, sequence-wise, we completed our first 3 shrines. We're going to be heading back to the Temple of Time for a second trip to obtain the recall ability. And there's 2 ways we can get there that are pretty equal in time. I want to try to show off both of them, so we'll go for the harder one here first in case we miss it. We're going to do a back... That's not a wing. We're going to try to do a backflip on a wing here and use this as our angle to fly. Height looks good, angle looks good. Nice. Oh, that was close. We almost flew off the far ledge there, but we were able to make it here and touch the door. There's another lineup that I want to show off later. It's a little bit slower, but personally, I think it's a little bit more cool. So once we come back here on the return trip, we'll be able to show that off as well. And here is going to come into play one of the load manipulation strats that I was talking about earlier. This cutscene here that we're going to skip, we want to try to get as close to the stone as possible here, as that will give us a better chance. I don't think it's guaranteed, but a better chance at a faster load into this next cutscene. So we'll see if we get the fast load here. Actually, now would be a great time if the host has anything to share.
Indeed. We are getting a lot of love in chat, as well as a lot of love in donations. Clouded, you're doing an amazing job. We've got a $20 donation from SR Taper, I guess Senior Taper, that says, good luck and thank you for being such an amazing part of the community and helping out so much.
Thank you, Taper. Really appreciate that.
We also have a $10 donation from Space saying, hopefully this gets us to $4,500, which it did.
All right, let's go. Let's get some hype.
Thank you for a wonderful weekend of Midwest Speedfest, and best of luck with the Tears of the Kingdom glitches, which we are getting closer because of also a Turtle Run 2412 $125 donation.
Thank you. Amazing Ori run that we just saw from Turtle Run. So thank you so much for that. That was a very fun run to watch.
Indeed. He says, Ori Runner Turtle here. Here's $1 for each and every pickup I got in the run. We're so close to the $5,000 goal for this event. So let's get this Tears of the Kingdom glitch exhibition and keep the marathon going. Indeed. And we are at $292 out of 400. Chat, we're so close. Just $108 to go.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, JD. Something that we didn't mention here is this dialogue section. You actually, fun fact here, you will save 1 second in this dialogue section right here if you set your system language to Russian. So if you just want a free, easy time save, you can learn the Cyrillic alphabet. I mean, I guess free and easy is relative, isn't it? So we'll be heading back to the Room of Awakening, like I mentioned. This time, thankfully, we don't have to perform cog skip. We can just head right back up that same tunnel we went earlier with a nice bomb jump into a dive. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and swap shields here just to maintain durability and keep it fresh. So we've got our fresh shield here. Bomb count's looking good as well. Haven't need to use very many backups so far. But we'll go ahead and do some more running down through the tunnel here. A little bit of deja vu, but now, like I mentioned earlier, finally the shrine is active and we can enter our 4th and final shrine. And if anybody wants to take a guess onto how we'll be cheesing this shrine and completing it quickly, I'll only give you one shot because the answer is obviously going to be Arrow Smuggle Flight. We're going to do a nice little launch here off the stairs that'll send us right up top. Almost clothesline myself on the roof there. A little bit of an early jump, but this works perfectly fine. And we'll try to maintain just the perfect amount of height here to catch a very tight cycle on these clock hands at the end. Oh, barely missed it. Well, we'll get to see Ultra Hand in action again. A little treat for the fans at home. You can actually glue these together. And just like that, we have completed all 4 shrines, and we are just about ready to wrap up the tutorial area of the game. We do have one more key item pickup that we're going to be needing to grab on our way back to the Temple of Time, which is a gem. If you remember from Breath of the Wild, gems were a nice little collectible that you could sell for a high price at shops. In Tears of the Kingdom, they completely reworked them to basically be like mini elemental nukes. They do a ton of damage and a ton of AoE damage as well. And they're going to be a very crucial pickup for us to take down some of the enemies that we'll be fighting. Because, I mean, in case you haven't noticed, all we have here is a couple of rusty old weapons. So we're going to be needing to come and grab this item here. And if you are running with Amiibo in the Amiibo category, you will scan a gem. A little bit of RNG, about a 25% chance to get either a Ruby or a Topaz, which are the gems we want. However, I didn't bring my little toys with me today, so we're going to be running no Amiibo, which means we have to come down here to the Pondside Cave, where there is a guaranteed drop for a Ruby. Much better than a 25% chance RNG. And try to get these bats out of my face here. Where's my ruby? There it is. Oh, interesting launch. There we go. And the no amiibo route actually only loses about, I would say, 30 seconds or so over the amiibo route. Would you say that would be the case, Moist? If you're still there. Not sure if Moist is still with us. But we'll be coming back here to Temple of Time for the last time. I want to show off this other cool lineup here. Oh, I forgot to fuse a bomb, so we'll do that real quick. We can actually use this staircase here. This setup's a bit slower than the wing I showed earlier just because of the setup time it takes. But we can perform a launch off these stairs. That'll give us literally the perfect angle to head straight to the door of the Temple of Time. At the cost of being a couple of seconds slower, plus taking some damage. But no worries, and there we go. See, right in front of the door. Be performing another bomb jump up here to get to the end and grab the heart container to open the door and make our way out of the tutorial section, finally. All right, if you've got anything else from the host now, it'd be a great time as well.
Thank you so much. And again, I was mentioning earlier, it does take a village. So Moist, you are definitely here with us in spirit, and just hang in there. And everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. You are indeed watching Midwest Speedfest, raising money for the P-Fund Foundation. Remember, as you're making those donations, type in !donate in chat for the link. Make sure that you're clicking that add incentive button at the bottom. And you want to make sure that you select that glitch exhibition. We want to make sure that we get all of that awesome content added onto the marathon. So folks, chat, we are just over $100 away. We can do it. Let's go.
Thank you, JD. Appreciate it. All right, so now we're back here and we can finally open the door, finish the tutorial area, and as we runners like to say, now we can finally play the game. Great Sky Island actually makes up just over 2/3 of the entire speedrun, so hopefully, if everything goes smoothly, in 15 minutes or less from now, we will have completed the entire game. We've got one more little arrow flight set up here to do at the end. We're going to do another ledge bomb off the nose tip of this wing here. Perfect. Get a nice angle to just kind of float our way all the way to the end of this, skipping a bunch of running and jumping sections. There we go. Perfect. And now, like we mentioned, not clickbait, we are going to be heading directly to the end of the game here with no interruptions in between. We're going to do a shield drop to get on a wing here and perform some more duplication glitches so that we can have enough rubies to take down the Demon King's army. So a great angle here. We'll go ahead and try to line up for these. This part is a little bit trickier than it looks because it's kind of hard to get all these dupes in while at the same time maintaining as straight a line as possible to try to get to the castle where we will be making our way down to the depths. Piloting a wing is definitely a very underrated skill for speedrunners. It just seems something like, well, you just stand on the wing and make it go where you want, right? But there's a lot more nuance to it, actually, so it can be kind of tough. 24. We'll do a few more just for backup. This is definitely enough, but just in case. And this will be perfect. Now we'll try to line up our angle here again, and we're going to be performing one last arrow flight segment here. Chaining it together with these shield serves, not only because we need to gain a lot of height quickly, but because, lose a lot of height quickly, but because it will help preserve our momentum. One of the only downsides of arrow smuggle flight is that there is a little bit of momentum decay. So if you fly for too long, you will end up losing a lot of speed. But doing these shield serve combos here will help us to maintain and preserve a lot of that momentum through the duration of this pretty long flight. And here, this section, we do have a little bit of RNG, some of the only RNG in the run from world loads. We could get 1, we could get 2, we could get 0, and they could be of varying length. I think we're pretty good on the world loads here. The angle looks great too. We're going to be performing another fall damage cancel. Just do one more here for safety, and go ahead and dive down. I'm going to be going for a glitchless start. I just want to show this off. It's not required, but I think it looks pretty cool. And that is a wall grab FDC. So it's pretty tight. But now we're just going to be climbing up this wall here and showing off yet another one of the many perks of Arrow Smuggle, which is the ability to clip out of bounds. And there we go.
Nice.
That one's pretty tough, but I'm glad we were able to hit it first try. And now we're going to dive straight down to the depths where we'll be facing the Demon King's army. And something else to note about this game is, unlike Breath of the Wild, if you're familiar with that game, collision with walls, ceilings, floors, etc. in this game is double-sided. So we not only have to clip out of bounds, but we have to clip back inbounds. But thankfully, we have a very quick and easy way to do that. And here you'll see this geometry, some visible, some invisible. We'll be skipping all of this, thankfully, and just heading straight down here. This can be a interesting little dive section. Another fall damage cancel quickly to get here. There we go. Now we'll be performing what we call our ragdoll clip, where we unequip our shield mid-air, and it will put us in a ragdoll state where we can hopefully... There we go. Got it. First try. Perfect. Heading straight down to Army. And this is... Right here, Army is one of the most stressful sections of the run for me, so I'll try to keep quiet a little bit and maybe explain what I can if Moise is still with us. If maybe
Hopefully you can hear me.
Okay, perfect. I'll let you take over then.
All right. So yeah, so here you want to chuck all the rubies that we duped, and you see Clouded actually using recall in between each throw. What that does is it animation cancels the throw, and that allows us to just chuck the rubies even faster.
These guys here give me a bit of a problem. We'll save them for later. I want to take down this boss Boko first. I'm definitely going to play it safe here, because if we die here, we will have to go back all the way up to that clip spot at the beginning. I was going to grab and safety save, didn't quite get around to it. We should be fine though. Alright, so that's the Army. And everything else that we're going to be grabbing for the end game here, we're going to be scavenging from Army itself. So we got that horn. Perfect. Alright. The Zalfos phase is next. There's 4 different phases of Army of monster waves that we'll have to fight through.
This one is a little square because the Lizalfos are pretty fast, just like that.
A little bit of a jump scare. The nice thing is we can use their instincts to back up and jump away to head right out of our range and into their range where we can take them out. So we'll be grabbing this Royal Halberd as well. See if we can grab this horn here too. Perfect. All right, so we just have one more pickup we want to grab. That is definitely the most stressful phase of Army so far, so glad to get through that one. Gibdo phase here is also a sleeper. I think I mentioned this earlier. For some reason, in this version of the game, the Gibdos have like double speed, so it's a little bit scary as they kind of approach us here. All right, perfect. That was very close, but we're going to be able to grab this last halberd. Awesome. We got all of our pickups, and we're ready to finish out. Oh, one straggler. This is why we duped extra rubies for a situation like this. We can go ahead and drop our backup weapon here. We won't be needing that anymore, as we now have these halberds. The pickups here are very minimal because we'll be able to perform another interesting glitch here momentarily. The last is the Moblin phase. Personally, I think these are actually the easiest out of the 4 because they're so big here that the splash damage can just kind of hit all of them at once. And thankfully, we got through Army first try. That was very stressful. So the next step here is, since we haven't completed any of the 6 dungeons in the game, we have a tough 6-boss gauntlet here, starting with Colgera, the Wind Temple boss. I don't really have anything to fight him, though. I'm a little bit underprepared. Oh! Oops. Did not mean to do that. So I think we'll have to kind of go back a little bit here. We might have to redo that whole thing. That was definitely an unfortunate mistake. Jumped a little bit too far there. But yeah, so normally in that instance, you have to go through the 6-boss gauntlet, but we can perform some other clips there to try to basically like get out of bounds and skip the entire boss rush. So, well, the good news is here, I do get to show off my backups. So once we're back up here, we can set up Arrow Smuggle again. Think that worked? Yep, we're good here. So I hope you guys enjoyed that last stepping because we're going to be doing it again.
By the way, if we press A here, we actually lose Arrow Smuggle. And we actually want to go through a load so that the bow isn't at his feet and is smuggled to his back. But here, we don't have a really nearby loading zone, so it's tough.
For sure. So we, like you saw, we just picked up the builder, so we are going to have to set this up a second time. But there is an alternate form of fall damage cancel we can perform that doesn't require arrow smuggle. So thankfully, I'm familiar enough with the old route of the game that we'll be able to do that as a backup. And I am going to make sure and grab the safety save here this time, just in case. Perfect. All right. So we're back down here. Let's see if we can get this autosave here. Perfect. Welcome to the depths. All right, so now we'll just head back to that clip spot. We'll be performing the same ragdoll clip again. This route is very interesting because it allows us to basically just kind of skip through everything, which is super nice. Hitting that first try is good again. All right, so we'll get a retry on Army. Hopefully we'll be able to get it done a little bit faster this time before we proceed forward with the rest of the game here. There we go. All right. And like Moise was mentioning, the recall ability is very useful for these animation cancels. And it's about the only time we're going to see it in the run, so thankfully we get to see quite a bit of it. And yeah, this is definitely going a lot smoother than last time, so I guess it's a little bit of a blessing in disguise. There we go.
And you are doing really great, Clouded. The love continues to pour in from chat and in our donations. We have a $25 donation from Savage that says, "Good luck, Clouded." A $5 donation from Pico that just says F5. And a $10 donation from Kelly and Mitch that says, "Beans, beans, beans," for the VGM Con wrap-up. F5. Not sure what I need to put in here. Thank you so much for those donations. And folks, remember, please, as you're making those donations, please click that add incentive button down on the bottom. Select that glitch exhibition, finalize that, and we want to see that incentive met, everyone. Just a little bit more time. We want to see this awesome Tears of the Kingdom glitch exhibition.
Don't mind him running around just a little bit. Gives us some time to get some more of these pickups that we want here. Take out the straggler. Get both. Yep, perfect.
And gives us a little bit more time for some more donations, too.
Perfect.
We are seeing a little bit of a $5 donation train. Another one from Ian that says F5, or whatever that was nearby hit.
All right, there we go.
Nice.
So this actually might be the any percent plus Army twice world record coming up here. All right, make sure we got all of our pickups here. Perfect. Now we'll be able to head back down here. So, you know, I'm a little bit frustrated about what happened there. So I think we're just going to have to bash our heads against the wall a little bit and see if we can figure out something to do here. Going to set up Arrow Smuggle again real quick. Oh, didn't quite get it. We'll try that again. Don't think that worked either. Okay, perfect. We're good. Got the backup bow. All right, I'm gonna shoot an arrow. Hopefully this will work out. Did it land? Couple for good measure. All right, yeah. I'm just gonna bash my head against the wall here, trying to figure out what we can do here. And hopefully we'll be able to come up with a solution. Not quite. Give that one another try. Perfect, there we go. We made it through. That's the toughest clip for sure. And so we're going to be performing a little bit of camera manipulation strats. The game does not like us being out of bounds down here, so it tries to yank the camera back in bounds, but we can kind of target around a little bit here. And perfect. Okay.
So yeah, we will be skipping the bosses.
Perfect. Got through. And
And we
just like
couldn't do
that-
this before Army. Because Ganondorf actually doesn't spawn until you complete Army.
Right. So for some reason, they put the trigger for Ganondorf to appear after Army. We can clip out of bounce before Army, however, Ganondorf just won't show up. So like Moise said, we gotta wait for the boss rush. And here we're going to be showing off the power of the map rune. I don't know if anybody actually used this once in their casual playthrough, but in the speedrun here, it's incredibly important. Moise, if you want to explain what map Zuggle is for us.
Yeah, so Zuggling is just basically a way of duping, and what we're doing is duping the spears in his hand. So now we have the power of 5 spears.
And when we fuse one of those monster horns that we grabbed, it'll apply that fuse to every single spear that we're holding. Plus, the Royal Halberd specifically has a weapon buff that gives us double damage during a flurry rush, which just so happens to be Ganondorf's main attack method. So we got the timing there first try, and we can just completely melt his health bar for all 3 phases. Phase 2, we got a little bit of weapon RNG, plus there can be some lag issues. We'll see how we do here. There's that lag. We got the club. This is definitely the least ideal scenario, but we can still back it up. There we go. That timing's pretty tough with the lag. We were able to hit that. Phase 2 down. And so now we've got this little anime villain cutscene where he's going to power up and show us his true potential as a supervillain. And the funny thing is this cutscene's about 30 seconds. So I think when you do the math, we spend more time watching the cutscene of him powering up than we actually do fighting him, which is pretty funny, just to kind of style on him a little bit. So phase 3 here is actually, I would consider to be easier than phase 2. All we have to do is rush towards him and attack to induce a flurry rush. And then we've got one of 2 directional inputs that we'll have to read his attack based on what he does. Got the side hop here, perfect. And just like that, Ganondorf is down. That would be a great time if the host has anything else to share with us before we wrap up the final segment here.
Indeed. So we have a $5 donation from MC that says, did someone say $5 donation train? One glitch exhibition, please. Indeed. Let's keep it going. And we also have a $50 donation from Cataclysm that just says,
Wow.
Womp. And an anonymous $5 donation that says, joining the $5 donation train. Let's go, bingo.
All right. So if you remember from your casual playthrough, we have the final boss, I think here, which is the Demon Dragon. And it's in the casual playthrough, at least for me, it was kind of more of an interactive cutscene. You know, we just glide around with the paraglider and take out each of the weak points. However, you may notice that we don't have the paraglider. And so that actually turns one of the easiest parts of a casual playthrough into one of, if not the hardest segment of the entire any % speedrun here, which is the Demon Dragon fight. So we're going to have to work on a tight cycle between the Light Dragon that we can ride on and then Demon Dragon as they kind of move together in tandem to take out all 4 weak points and then the final 5th one at the end as quickly as possible. This is what we call the 2-cycle Demon Dragon. Oh, also a funny side effect of the Zuggle glitch here is that halberd, it's still glued into our hand. So we have this interesting, ungodly looking weapon here. I believe the official name is the Black Boss Boko Royal Master Halberd Sword or something like that. But yeah. So yeah, this is definitely one of the toughest parts of the run here. If you're here on PB pace or God forbid world record pace, your heart rate has definitely spiked through the roof as this cycle is extremely precise. However, we do have a lot of backups that I've come up with, so hopefully I won't have to show those off, but I'll just go ahead and focus in and let Moise take it from here.
Yeah, so as Clouded said, there's 4 eyes, but we can actually hit 2 at a time. However, this requires us to play almost perfect. So here we're going to do Moz doors to the first eye, and the first eye is always consistently there. Nice. And then we can wing to the second one. And we're going to also fuse the other horn to our sword so that we can take out each eye in 3 hits, which just makes the cycle more lenient.
All right, that was the hardest part right there. So far, so good. From here on out, even if we mess up, the backups are pretty quick, relatively. So we're just gonna chill for a second on Zelda here and enjoy the beautiful scenery and the wonderful music. I really love the job Nintendo did with the end game for Tears of the Kingdom here. All right, let's see how precise we
Yeah,
were.
the way we jumped off will be right at the third
Perfect.
eye.
Okay, barely made it on. That was probably a little more risky than it should have been, but we got on the wing.
All right, and now we can go to the last hit even faster by doing these jump/chains and
I don't like that
letting
wing
Zelda
right
pick us
there.
up, and she'll drop us off right at the head.
That wing was kind of freaking me out. I was wondering if I was gonna run into it or something. Alright, so we'll see how good of a position we got here. Perfect. Alright. And that will be the final hit on Demon Dragon. Wow, I'm really happy to hit that one first try. That's got to be one of the toughest tricks in the run. So the only mistake was right at the very end. For some reason, this is another quirk of version 1.0. All the way throughout the run, we have to deal with these things. If you're standing on the dragon's head for the final hit, for some reason, it gives you an extra long load. So we had to deal with that. But getting the cycle in general felt really, really nice. Go ahead and land on the final hit here. Timing does not end now. We still got about 1 more minute of gameplay left. A couple of cutscenes to skip here, and then wake up falling to catch the princess and make up for how we failed to catch her at the beginning. Everything comes full circle. One thing I really love about this speedrun.
You heard that right, folks. There's just a little bit more time left. Still more time to get those donations in for that glitch exhibition. We are sitting at $352 out of $400. Thanks to Sabo's $5 donation that says, Dono Train, let's go Clouded. And Not Maria also donating $10 that says, let's go. Let's go, chat. We can do it.
All right, so we're just going to mash A here as we hold R to dive down. And timing will end in just a second here as we grab Zelda's hand. 3, 2, 1, and time. And there you have it. Tears of the Kingdom any % in under 55 minutes. There we go. Wasn't the cleanest run. Having to die where we did was actually probably a worst case scenario, but we were able to overcome that and still move on. I'd love to give a special shout out to all the members of the Tears of the Kingdom speedrunning community, especially some of my fellow top runners, Lovely Series, the current world record holder, Moist Blub, again on commentary. Thank you so much for joining in with us. Contico, Serious Challenges, Red Slay, Player 5. A lot of you guys have been super helpful in helping me learn the run personally and just been very supportive. So thank you guys all so much. And if anybody's interested, if what you saw here intrigued you and you want to try learning this run for yourself, please come by our speedrunning Discord. The community is super chill and supportive and welcoming. And so if anybody's interested in that, you can find the link to our Discord on our leaderboard on speedrun.com, where we have several different categories for every different version. No matter if you're playing on a newer patch or an older patch, there's something in this speedrun for everybody. So if you got anything else from the host before we wrap up here.
No, I just want to say thank you so much for such an amazing display there, Clouded. And also, like, chat and those in the audience, let's also give a special shout out to Moist Blub, who had just, you know, like, really hung in there all the way throughout to the end. Big shout outs to all the tech team for figuring out every little thing that could get into getting a remote commentator in to be able to help out. And just, you know, two of y'all did such an amazing job.
Thank you guys so much. All right, so if nothing else, then that'll be all for me. Thank you guys again so much for having me on. It was really great to show off this speedrun for you guys. Hope you all enjoyed it. And we'll send it back to the host.
Great. Thank you.